to clay content. The reason for the use of this ratio as a metric is that it's a quite important metric for how easily you create good soil tilth, like how easy it is to prepare a good seed bed in order to establish crops. And so, yeah, darker is worse in this case. Then B, we have problems with erosion. Even though it's not perceived to be that big of a problem compared to many other places, it's still in the order of around 1 ton of topsoil per hectare of agricultural land in Denmark, which amounts to something because topsoil is not easily regenerated, and so it's a quite valuable resource. And that's the 1 ton estimate is only for water erosion. There's also wind erosion, of course, and I haven't found a good estimate for that. And then finally, soil compaction, particularly subsoil compaction, is quite a threat to soil health because it's not easy to relieve once it's done. Once you compact the subsoil, meaning the soil below the plow layer, it's quite difficult to undo, and it costs at least 10% of yield where it's happened. So it's a almost irreversible thing, and it's spreading. It also relates to the organic matter content and other things. Anyway, who promotes regenerative agriculture? In Denmark, I've chosen to divide these stakeholders or these actors in 3 pillars, and why I've done that is going to make sense a few slides from now, because I'm going to refer back to it. But anyway, we have some membership associations, meaning like grassroots. We have the one called Regenerative Jordbrug, regenerative ag, regenerative farming. Then we have Frie Bønder Levende Land, which means free farmers living land. They're a part of what's it called, Via Campesina, which is the international agroecology movement, farmer-led agroecology movement. And then finally we have something called Andelsgård, which many of you perhaps are familiar with. All of these are, I could have mentioned others, but these are some of the main actors in the discussion representing the grassroots. And we have the consultancy or advisory firms. And I mean, I could have also focused on knowledge production. That would be in the same pillar. So I myself and the Innovation Center for Organic Farming could be in this pillar as well. But now I've chosen these advisors because they sell advisory or consultancy directly to farmers. These are some of the firms that promote regenerative agriculture as part of their portfolio. Agroorganic is a company called Agrovi. They take up some space. Then we have something called Vækst, which are more focused on, in terms of regenerative, more focused on organic. And then we have something called Regen Farmer. Yeah, I have to speed up. I'm sorry. We have Arla as a food producer, Carlsberg, and then lately Nestlé Denmark has been taking up a lot of space in the discussion as well, which to me is funny because I'm pretty sure they don't source a lot of their raw materials from Denmark or Danish agriculture. But anyway, 3 pillars and 3 examples in each pillar. Also, we have international players like the Boston Consulting Group, which last year released this report, which is shit, by the way, but that's a different topic. Then this report was released by Frej, which I'm sure you're familiar with as well. And the work that they did in writing this report has led to them promoting this partnership co-founded by Agrovi, Nestlé, Yara, which is a big Norwegian fertilizer producer, artificial fertilizer producer, and then real estate. I don't know. Kreditforening. I don't know. Anyway, on the European content, this scientific article was just released in the beginning of this month, and it's quite good. I recommend it if you want to understand something about this stakeholder analysis part of it. And this figure is taken from there. It's they did a study where they identified 849 actors from Spain, France, the Netherlands, and Germany, and they looked at everything they could find in terms of blog posts, articles, podcasts, videos, any mention of regenerative agriculture, and then they tried to do some analysis on who's saying what and why and so on. And as you see, of the total number of actors, 31% were farmers, and in that group, the smallest enterprises or operations are the most visible, so they have the most mentions. Then I'm going to skip to the processors or the food producers, food companies. They take up around 12% of the mentions, but it's in that group, it's the very large operations that dominate. So I thought that was interesting to show there is a tension here where small farmers and gigantic multinationals are sort of trying to wrestle around what the narrative is. As this is about innovation, I think one of the main parts of innovation or what's more innovative about regenerative agriculture than the dialogue or the discussion, the discourse, is the idea that regenerative agriculture is defined by outcomes, meaning it's about getting certain measurable effects, positive effects from the way we do things, as opposed to being around prescribed practices. Like organic farming is about you have to do this and you can't do this, more than it's, of course, it's with the aim of achieving all these same benefits, but it's it's the other way around with regenerative. And I just thought it was worth mentioning this European Association for Regenerative Agriculture, EARA, which is a grassroots movement, but also sort of a lobbying group for regenerative agriculture. They define regenerative agriculture as all these different approaches that you see. So agroecology, holistic management, and so on. Also organic agriculture and biodynamic. And what's innovative about their approaches, they just released a report this year, which introduces a new methodology for monitoring these the outcomes that we want from regenerative farming. So it's too much to go into. I'm just saying it's a quite fresh and innovative way of approaching it, and it's very much worth looking into if you're interested in these kind of MRV types of solutions. Globally, I've narrowed it down to talking about two groups, because it's a little bit of a false dichotomy, but still I just want to emphasize the point that we have these massive food corporations, the biggest in the world, that are in this. They're collaborating through what's called the SAI platform, the Sustainable Agriculture Initiative, and as part of this initiative, they are developing a framework for what they deem to be regenerative agriculture. So the point is here that all these are not all the members of the SAI platform. These are the members that have been part of launching this initiative around RegenAg. Anyway,
Jorn,
yeah.
sorry, no, I just want to give you an update. So now it's about half hour in. So
Yeah.
I suggest, I don't know how you are, maybe halfway, but let's use another 10, 15 minutes or so, and then go for questions. And then maybe we can now ask if there are questions, just also to
Sure.
give you a breather.
Definitely, yeah.
Are there any pressing questions? No? Well, I have just one.
Yeah.
So how do you explain what you just presented, that major industrial food companies are interested, or it seems are recently becoming interested in regenerative agriculture? Well, that seems a contradiction, but maybe it's not. Maybe you can explain.
Well, yeah, that's a very, very good question, but also one that is quite hard to answer without speculating a bit.
That's allowed.
because
That's allowed.
because of course, I mean, if you ask them directly, like if you ask Nestle, the biggest food company in the world, or consumer food, like final producer in the world, they say that the reason they're into it is because they want value chain stability. So they can see that, and it's quite evident at the time, their biggest products that their biggest product categories are coffee and cocoa. And both of these crops are very, very challenged these years by droughts and floods and pests and all kinds of, and we can see that in the pricing directly, right? It's been the coffee and chocolate prices have been skyrocketing lately. So I guess that makes a part of at least a part of the motivation for them, particularly. But I think in a more broad sense, I think it's very much a way of trying to develop something that is calculable for their ESG reports, and they're, from my point of view, it's about trying to be proactive in terms of defining what measures can be taken to improve the climate footprint of these companies. And so yeah, in a sense, but I mean, it's what's more interesting to me, and what I will get back to in just a second, is something else, because these are not only food companies.
So
but anyway,
just for the class, we didn't talk about ESG, but you know what it is: environmental, social, and governance indicators.
Governance.
A broad sense of saying
governance.
Or measuring climate footprint or sustainability impact and stuff like that. Thank you, Jorn. I won't. You have another 10 minutes until I talk again.
I've definitely prepared too much, so I'll just be brief. It's the point here is they have a definition of regenerative, which is quite what I've said until now. Like it's outcomes based, and nothing very special. Then, as a counterpart to the SAI platform and all these multinationals, we have something called Regeneration International, which is sort of an umbrella organization of different grassroots organizations, research institutes, and farming co-ops, and so on. And they are more holistically minded, let's say that. So they are more into the, they're more on the agroecology part of the spectrum, meaning that it's, to them, of course, all the things about the environment are very important, but also it's a social movement around food security, food sovereignty, access to land, ownership of land, and so on. So it's more political in that sense. And they are very critical of, as I have highlighted here, synthetic toxic pesticides, synthetic fertilizers, and GMO crops, and so on. So the reason I'm returning here is that I want to point your attention to the company Bayer, which is not a food company, as I'm sure you know. It's a chemical, agrochemical company producing pesticides and GMO seeds and so on. And Syngenta, which is the same kind of company, two of the biggest in the world. I could have pointed to Yara as well, but it's, now I'm taking these as an example because to me it's very interesting. What are they doing in this initiative where it's about reducing external inputs and doing things in a more nature positive way when they're producing something that is very much, from my point of view at least, not very nature positive. So according to a press release from Bayer's own website, is the term, they see a potential to shape regenerative agriculture on more than 150 million hectares globally. And they estimate a potential of up to 30 billion euros in peak sales potential. Mentioning the following products: this new corn growing system, GMO-based corn growing system they've been developing, a novel herbicide, and 2 new fungicides. So that's, I think that's pretty clear. That's their motivation for sure. They want to be part of this so that these products, these inputs, don't get excluded from the global definition, or at least the global framework for regenerative agriculture. And the same thing with Syngenta. So they also want to, they are a little more subtle about it, but basically they also want to sell chemical and biological inputs. Anyway, I promised you to say something about the practices, the agricultural practices mentioned as part of the study I pointed to before with the stakeholder analysis. First of all, cover crops. Second, crop diversity. Third, agroforestry and permaculture. Fourth, reduction of external inputs. Oh, yeah. I was a little quick in translating that. And habitat provisioning, so meaning providing habitat for biodiversity. And to me that, that sounds very much like agroecology, which I've been alluding to a couple of times. Of course, I don't have time to explain everything about agroecology, but as I said, it's a science, it's a set of practices, very well defined, and it's also a social movement, so it's very comprehensive. And from an agronomic point of view, these practices are very much part of agroecology as a concept. So my answer to whether Regen Ag is actually agroecology is yes, perhaps. This study was published in 22, and it asks the question in the title: regenerative agriculture, agroecology without politics. Of course, it's more complicated than that, and the authors conclude that no, it's not just agroecology without politics. It has a big overlap with agroecology. This figure is from the study, and so like other alternative approaches to farming, it's overlapping a bit with agroecology, but the similarities decrease downstream, so to speak. So that's why I did the stakeholder mentions in 3 pillars earlier from Denmark, because here we have 3 pillars representing the individual farmers and grassroots, and in the middle, the NGOs and development organizations, and third, the enterprises or the corporate entities. And on the far left, you have agroecology and 10 defining aspects of agroecology. And so the colors here indicate to what extent these elements of agroecology are reflected in the way regenerative agriculture is portrayed by these different groups of stakeholders. So that's just to say, yeah, we get further removed from agroecology, the further up the hierarchy, economical hierarchy, or so to speak, we get, right? Yeah, so is it innovation or greenwashing? I don't have time for this, I'm sorry, but my point with this slide is to try and say that the way regenerative agriculture is portrayed, it can be understood as a spectrum of understandings. So it's everything from like high-tech, biotech, precision ag, very optimal, optimistic kind of reductionist thinking, and then you have on the other far other side like this, what I call the agroecological utopia. And just to say, if it wasn't clear, it's pretty much positioned like this. Like the companies want to reduce some regenerative agriculture into something as tangible and measurable as possible, and which allows them to change as little as possible in their corporate structures and their value chains. And the grassroots are way more holistic, way more integrative in their approaches, and very much more focused on natural systems. Yeah, so yeah, just same point. Sometimes this is the case, right? So it's very much regen ag is very much portrayed as something extremely lush and green and living, and then a lot of the time it looks like the picture on the left when it's from the corporate people. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope it was almost possible to follow.
That was really, really interesting, Johan. Thank you very much. So now we have, well, at least we have until 2 if needed, if there are questions. Does any of you want to ask something? Clarifications, perspectives? Yeah. So maybe try and speak and see if he can hear you. Otherwise, you have to come here.
Okay.
Or I repeat.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious, with your role as a consultant within this organization, if you could just explain a bit more about what your role is, like what do you do when you come to the office, why are you speaking on this topic, but then also with the idea of regenerative agriculture focusing on small farmers. An issue that I've found is that it's hard to scale regenerative agriculture with a lot of the 7 principles involved. So can you explain, how do you talk to larger farmers if your job somehow involves convincing farmers to switch to regenerative ag?
Oh, yeah, great questions. My job isn't to convince anybody of anything, really. The raison d'être of the Innovation Center for Organic Farming is to try and innovate organic agronomy, more or less. So it's we try to present new solutions to pressing problems that organic farmers have. We do a lot of field trials and a lot of. I personally do a lot of literature studies and yeah. So my personal role is a little bit different than many of my colleagues. I spend a lot more time reading, I think, than many of my colleagues. But it's what I'm trying to do is to first of all understand and communicate the relationship between organic farming and regenerative agriculture, and try to show where there are similarities and differences, but also I'm also trying to bring in fresh perspectives or new ideas into the conversation around developing organic farming in Denmark. So from my point of view, a lot of the organic farming in Denmark is very much input substitution, meaning that when farmers convert from conventional practice to organic practice, they a lot of the time preserve the same mindset, so to speak. They try to find organic substitutes for the inputs they're used to using, to a certain extent, not with pesticides generally, but it's but more like the way fertilization is conceived of is very similar. And yeah, so yeah, the point is, I think there is potential in what could broadly be deemed the regenerative agricultural movement. There are ideas that can help us in attaining, for instance, a higher nutrient use efficiency, where, yeah, so we don't focus so narrowly on nitrogen availability as an obstacle to more farmers converting to organic, but we try to that was just an example. Anyway, the question about scaling, I think it really depends on what you perceive as being regenerative agriculture, because again, from my point of view, regenerative agriculture isn't a system. Like, it's not a farming system. It's a more of a declaration of intent, or like it's more of a goal to work toward, or a target to work towards but never attain, or so it's more of a mindset. That's what I'm trying to say. It's more of a way of thinking about what you're doing and why, and to that end, I don't really agree with the premise that regenerative agriculture is necessarily hard to scale. It really, it's very context dependent, and I've seen many examples of big farms doing very regenerative practice in their context.
Okay, thank you. There was someone else, right? You think you have to come up here? It's fine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
So I was thinking about what are the risks of regenerative agriculture. So I think like yield loss and so on. So what are your thoughts about the risks for the farmer?
That's a great question. I think I could talk all day about that, but
just 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it short. I think the biggest risk I see is this notion that or in a Danish context at least, organic has a very strong history in Denmark, and as I'm sure you know, it's considered, organic is considered quite successful in converting farmland in Denmark as compared to many other countries, and I think that's both a benefit and sort of a little bit of a problem for regenerative, because it means that oftentimes I meet this expectation that regenerative is a system that you convert to from your current practice, and then at a certain point you are regenerative, and that's not really the way I understand it. So the biggest risk I see, at least for organic farmers in Denmark who want to convert to regenerative, is that they stop plowing from one year to the other, and it's really bad if they also stop using manure or slurry just all at once, because then you have yield disaster, and then it's going to be very hard to recover from, and it's also potentially a big weed problem you're introducing all at once. So what I think are the strengths of the regenerative mindset is that it's a very context dependent, very gradual change. So like you have to earn all the stuff you stop doing, so to speak. So you reduce negative inputs and tools gradually, rather than you just flip on a plate.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, but from a I'm sorry, just one more comment. Yeah. But from a different point of view, of course, there is also a big risk in if, let's say, the SAI framework is adopted at a political level. I think that would also potentially be quite bad because it would kill the innovation, the innovative part of the regenerative movement, because they do exactly that. They prescribe certain practices for certain outcomes, and it's a bit context independent. So yeah, there are many risks and challenges for sure.
Thanks. Other questions? No?
So if not, I could maybe also add that from ideally going regenerative, so to speak, shouldn't cost you. It's from my point of view, that's sort of, if you do it right, if it's agronomically sound, then you really shouldn't experience yield loss. Yeah.
Okay.
The system needs time to adapt to changes.
Thank you very much. So I just wanted to ask one last thing. So you mentioned that Arla has become interested in regenerative agriculture, and we will have a guest lecture by Arla later in the course. So I wondered if you could maybe say a bit about, what you think, or why is Arla moving into this space?
Well, as you probably saw on my slide about the SAI platform, they are part of that initiative as well. So I would say I guess their motivation is quite similar to a lot of the other big food companies. So I'm sure they could use all the help they can get to make it appear at least that they're trying to mitigate that as much as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but I think I've also thought it was a bit strange because, as I said, they're part of the site initiative around regenerative, but they've also done their own pilot project. But I'm the representative we're going to talk to is without a doubt going to explain what they've been doing the last 4 or 5 years. And I mean, it's not without merit what they're doing, but if I was to pose one question to them, it would be how come, as part of your pilot farm project, do you include cattle that never sees the light of day, or that is housed in a stable all their life and never graze? That's truly mind-boggling to me. Like how can you even conceive of having that as part of a regenerative system? I simply that's very, very weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. It is noted. We will maybe we will ask it. Let's see.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
just
Jon, if you
yeah,
thank you very much.
suggestion.
So if you had been here, I would have given you 2 bottles of wine. So, but next time you're in Copenhagen, you can come by my office and pick them up. But thank you very much. I thought this was really a great presentation, very informative, and really put regenerative agriculture in an interesting perspective. So thanks again.
Thank you, and thanks for the invitation. It was it was interesting, and I'm sorry that it got so compressed, and so I didn't. As I said, I usually present in Danish, so I have a better feeling of how much I can like. The words are more immediately present to me in Danish, of course. So it takes a
I
little
thought
longer
you
in
did
English.
really good. Don't worry.
All right,
It's very interesting.
I'm happy. I hope you got
So if you send me the
something out of it.
slides, it would be great. I will give it to the
Definitely.
students, and maybe we'll be in touch. I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, but have a nice day, and thank you again for joining.
You too. You're welcome.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.